Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday morning. The San Francisco Mint, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, that iconic S mint mark. It holds a legendary status in numismatic. California Gold Rush, that symbol of resilience and precision. The Granite Lady, the story that we told yesterday, for its ability to survive the 1906 earthquake and subsequent fire. Today we have Jack Young. Eric's going to talk a little bit about the fun show before we dig into this. And then I'm going to go over a couple coins just to get you guys in the mood to hear about some coins. We're going to talk a little bit about the 1894 S Barber dime. Again, these are going to be all S coins. 1870 S Seated Liberty, the 1909 S VDB, 1870 S $3 gold. And then Jack Riley sent in an article on an altered 1888. Now, we've seen this coin again. We've seen it before. And this is the one where you really need to look at the third side of that coin for one of the markers. Again, we'll be talking more about that. But, Eric, tell us about the fun show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. If you were there, you know the hoopla. If you weren't there, you missed probably the most crowded coin show ever. I know that at one point we heard they were expecting over 25,000 people to go through the door.
It's nuts.
By 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon, 7,500 had already passed through. And I know that there was at least another 7 to 10,000 on Friday. It was so many people that we always left early because you just couldn't move through the room. There was just everybody was standing on each other. Every dealer I spoke to said it was the busiest coin show they'd ever been at. So crazy times. A lot of silver people there, a lot of coin people there.
You were saying that there was somebody that you were talking with that had already done something like 300,000 before the show even started.
They already did over 300,000 before the show even opened.
What was the main grab at the show?
First day for sure was silver. There was a lot of people with FOMO for sure in line. And like I search boxes for die varieties, as you guys all know. There was not many silver coins in any of the boxes. They had all been bought out before the show even opened. I literally got 4 silver coins. Everything else was Lincoln cents. On a good point, there's usually no Lincoln cents, and they had to bring Lincoln cents because they had no silver. So that was good for me. As you can see by the pile that's sitting in front of me, that's what I'm doing right now, is starting to go through that stuff.
Well, you and I were talking ahead of time, and I had mentioned this. Azure and I have had discussions regarding people buying silver at these high prices, and it's like, where in the world were these folks when silver was at 30?
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. For sure. It was, like I say, it was crazy. And there was silver dealers there that were sold out. By the time we walked out, you had seen they still had silver in their counters, but they said it was all sold already. But by the next day, they had it all fully reloaded. I don't know if they drove somewhere and got it, or if it was overnighted to them, or how it got there, but almost everybody was full the next day. And by the end of the next day, it was pretty much gone again.
What was the markup that you were seeing on the silver there?
You know what? I couldn't even tell you. I do know that they were paying just under spot for 90%. And actually, the people buying were paying spot for 90%, because 90% that was all that was there by the ends of the days. So people were buying that just because they kind of had to. And there were dealers that had silver, but I think that they were charging a premium to get stuff, and a lot of people were just reluctantly buying it. So, and those were probably dealers that didn't have the opportunity to get new by the next day. It was the bigger bullion dealers that were restocked in one day.
Well, I mean, yeah, they bring in their armored car service and have it delivered to them.
And plus, they FedEx. There was a lot of dealers that got stuff FedExed them, because I saw, waiting to get in Friday, I saw a lot of dealers with like hand carts that had boxes with FedEx tags on. So a lot of people had their stuff overnighted, I'm sure. But it was
That's
a crazy
crazy.
show, and it's still crazy. I'm home, but I still have so much to do that I can't make it through the whole stream today. I wanted
Yeah,
to
no
offer
worries
that up.
whatsoever. Appreciate you being up here and talking about this show. I unfortunately, and Jack, neither one of us were able to make it this year. And so it's great to get a report, and I appreciate you being willing to do so.
Yeah, it would have been great for Jack's cause for sure.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been there for
Yeah.
sure.
I want to go to a show with Jack and just follow him around.
No, you don't. It
I
might
want
like end up in jail or something.
I just hope he gets a table so I can mooch off of him.
Azure says FOMO. That sure is what it sounds like. And
there
that was
a lot of
Eric's
people.
word. So
A lot of people in line were definitely there because they heard all about silver. So yes, crazy.
that's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, we talked to there was a couple ahead of us, and they said, "Are you here to buy silver?" And I was like, "Nope." And they gave me the funny look, but that's okay. It was a good show for me. Probably one of the best shows for buying stuff that I like that I've went to. Matter of fact, it could be possibly the best. I scored a lot of good stuff.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you and I have looked at a couple of them before we went live, and you stumbled across something that was quite cool. You want to show that piece before we kick into San Francisco?
Oh yeah, where is that? Which one? There's a couple cool ones.
Your quarter, the discovery piece, the one that they didn't have completely listed correctly.
Oh, that one. He has it listed as a working hub, so I didn't even do anything with that. But it is an RPM. But the thing that made me, well, two coins made me happy. I found a 1908S Indian Head RPM number 2 or WRPM number 2. And then I found, let me get it up here.
He said that last night too.
What's that?
Never mind. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Oh, yeah.
Frosty didn't have his filter on.
I did get it, Frosty.
Oh,
there you go.
I got to be careful not to make Jack cough. Jack has been under the weather.
That's probably the best find that I had.
That's a beauty.
It's a D over D South, and it's FS 501. So that was good. That was, like I say, my best find. But I got a lot of hole fillers. As you can see by the pile there, those are all RPMs or doubled dies. There was a Lincoln Cent guy there that had all sorts of stuff. I spent probably half my time at his table. So, all right, let me hit this button. We are back.
Very cool. Well, hey, thanks for the update. I definitely appreciate it, being able to do so. I'm going to go through just a couple of fun facts, and we're going to talk about this. And Jack, you might have heard about this story before. The 1894S. How do you get rid of an 1894S Barber dime? You buy ice cream with it. Have you guys heard that story?
I have. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And so they consider that one of the San Francisco holy grails. And again, when you talk about this, there's a number of S Mint coins, early Lincoln cents that are hard to find. We're going to be talking about the 1909 SVDB a little bit today. Again, the 1888S, the added S that Jack Riley sent over, 1870S Cedar Liberty. There's a couple quarters that we're going to be looking at. So a lot of fun coins, but you guys know me and the stories. And so there were 24 of the 1894S Barber dimes that were minted, and only 9 of them are expected to continue to exist today. And the story is that the superintendent, and I want to say his name's either Daggett or Dagnett, I cannot remember the name, but had them to strike a balance because of a deficit in the books of $2.40. And then he gave a couple of them to his daughter, Haley. Now, he said, save them, don't do anything with that, leave them alone, make sure you don't lose these. They're going to be valuable one day. And, the ice cream truck on a hot summer day. And apparently she used one of them to buy ice cream with. So, interesting story. I want to find out more about it. I'm going to kind of dig into this one. I'll probably do a little short regarding that particular story. But again, another fun one. Jack, you're going to be talking about the 1909S VDB today. This is a coin that a lot of people come into the hobby for. They strike it rich with pocket change. These are things that a lot of people misrepresent, but there's a lot of counterfeits of this as well.
Hey, Frosty, I want to say bye to everybody. I have got to get back to work. And
Yeah, no worries, brother.
See everybody back to normal next week.
Appreciate you coming up, bud.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day, Eric.
All right. So, and then we'll be talking about one of my favorite pieces. I love the $3 Indian Princess. So the 1870S. It was one of those I guess there's only one of them. Wasn't supposed to be on the books production, but there's apparently Eliasberg or Eilberg. I can't remember the name of the collection. Eliasberg. Yeah. Ended up selling for millions. Dagnett. Thank you, Coach. I can never remember his last name. I remember the story, but I can never remember his last name. Ended up selling the coin for millions. So there's a lot of money in S mint mark coins. So Jack, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's talk a little bit about the presentation you have today.
Sounds good.
Find this.
And again, bear with me. Obviously, I'm fighting the crud, so don't tell Paula I've got my sexy voice today.
No worries. Let's make that big. All right. Walk us through this.
Absolutely. So the last couple of Sundays, we had put together this coin stories, if you would, after you had done your Saturday mint stories. And then we'd done one on the D mint marks, Denver mint. And we also had done one on Carson City. In fact, the CC one I sent into Coin Week, and they actually published it as a standalone article. So I've done basically the same thing here. And like I did in the Denver mint, I started with what NGC said is the number one counterfeit that they experienced, and that is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln Cent. There's a little link there also that we could go to their page. It's not necessary to do that, but I actually highlighted that in the text here. We'll get on a little bit further. And Frosty, interject whenever you like. I'm not sure how well my voice is going to last. So,
no worries.
So what they listed, what they see as the most common types of counterfeits are added mint marks and added VDBs. It's kind of ironic because that kind of follows into a coin that I'm going to show. But obviously, we see a lot of China counterfeits as well, and tire counterfeits, and particularly in venues like eBay. So the next one is I do a series of articles for Coin Week, and one of them under an umbrella that I nicknamed the Dark Corner. And the Dark Corner, those are counterfeits that actually found their way into genuine TPG holders as genuine coins. And this is a very good example. This is a 1909 SVDB PCGS F15 by the image. A gentleman actually in PCGS's forum posted this and started talking about it because he recognized that the mint mark position didn't look quite up to snuff. And he started a story about some gentleman named Harsh that had written an article on 1909 SVDBs, and there was a rumor of a fifth uh, die position for the obverse. And so he was trying to say that maybe his coin was that. We'll go down a little bit further. So this is one of the things I noted. You look at the N in United, and there's a sharp and shallow N. If it's the correct die pairing, it should have the shallow N. Um, this was too pixelated to really see. It appeared to be a sharp N, but he didn't really provide a lot of good pictures, after we started talking about it. But this is the 4 known die positions for the S mint mark for genuine 1909 S VDBs. And to the right, properly labeled, is the position of his. And as
So
you
can we explain why you say properly labeled?
well, there are images that you and I have talked about where someone has basically taken this, and there is no label under the one on the right. The way I do these in every article that I write, and I do it for VAMs, I will show on the left-hand side the genuine VAMs, mint marks, whatever. And on the right, I will show the subject example, the one that we're really looking at, and try to do a comparison between the two. And so that's what I've done here. But there is an image out there where there is no label on the right-hand side. And apparently that has created some controversy that there are 5 known positions, even though it doesn't say it. There are 4, and it clearly says position 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've been told that some have thought that this was the 5th die position. So, and the interesting thing is, the guy that owned the coin actually was pushing that this really is the 5th die position for 1909 SBB.
So
That
there's
explains
one
good
thing.
enough.
Yeah, perfectly. And I want to do one more thing because there was a question in chat. It wasn't a question, it was probably more of a statement. Luther, altered versus counterfeit. So obviously, if the entire coin is a fake from scratch, then it is a counterfeit. But an altered coin is a coin that has been changed to make it be represented as something else.
Absolutely. And of course, we put a lot of things under the counterfeit umbrella. To me, anything that is not genuine of what it's intended to be, and the intent is to sell it as genuine, I look at that as a counterfeit.
Well,
All
yeah.
right.
And again, if you want to look at the letter of the law is specific to it. But again, just FYI.
All right. Let's go down a little bit here. The other thing that was interesting, if you go up just a hair, there's we also looked at the VDB, and NGC in their article really has a good image of a genuine VDB. We'll go down again a little further where you were. So that is the genuine VDB. And of course, I've labeled that. And then you can see his. And there are a number of things there that obviously don't match. The shape of the B, the location of the periods. There's things there that are not a match for genuine 1909 SVDB. And because it was actually so lightly struck in his coin, he called that the whispering VDB. So he's got a couple things going on in this coin. That the unfortunate thing is it's in a genuine PCGS holder as genuine. So we got into a lot of discussions about that. And finally, he relented and he sent it to PCGS. And I have a contact there that I talked with, and they immediately said that it was not a genuine 1909 SVDB, and they basically nuked the cert. They bought the coin from him, and what they typically do is they'll break them out of the holders, but sometimes they'll keep it in the holder and keep it in their black box so it's something they can show their graders. And this would be a good one because this one got by somebody there at PCGS.
So let's hone into a couple of the items that he's showing here so that people can get familiar with this. This is extremely important. Again, anytime you're dealing with key date coins, you want to make sure you have a really good understanding. So one of them is the position of the B. You can see how low the V is here in relation to where it's at here. The D is a little bit off. This slopes down, this comes across and out. And then, of course, you have the slash here and then the bottom of the B. What else would you point out? The bead?
Yeah, the period next to the V is dropped low in his compared to the genuine one.
So again, one thing that you'll see in a lot of the cheaper high counterfeits is the B straight across, right? That's it's a straight line instead of a slanted line.
Right, right.
So that's another thing that you'll see. Jack's got a lot of articles on this. You can look through this. A lot of these images are in multiple places, but make sure that the place that you pull it from is something that's trustworthy. Just go pull up one of Jack's articles, pull up the 1909 SVDB. You'll find the information. You can use this. This is one of those coins that if you're going to go buy one, know what you're looking for before you even leave the house. Really understand the mint mark, really understand the positions, really understand what the VDB looks for. Look at the general construct of the coin. These are the kinds of things that if you buy the counterfeit can cost you tons of money. So just be very careful. Just because Jack has been successful in some occasions getting his money back, doesn't mean you're going to necessarily be able to do the same. It depends upon the platform and the relationship and how much you can prove. So again, buyer beware in these. Know the coin before you buy the coin. What are credentials of the guest? Well, what aren't the credentials of the guest? That is a great question, B. Woods. So Jack, you've been doing counterfeit detection and acting as a consult with counterfeit detection for what, 30 years?
Well, I've collected coins that long. I really got involved in counterfeit detection back in 2015. So I'm going on 11 years, and that was with a number of the coins I'm actually going to show in this presentation. So I worked, particularly when those first hit, worked with eBay, I worked with PCGS, I worked with NGC, I worked with both Annex and ICG as well to go in and identify those, and then start a massive, I don't want to say propaganda, but get the information out in all the formats and forms that I could. So I have over 80 articles published in Coin Week on the counterfeits and all the attribution points. I kind of came up with a standardized method of showing the attribution points, the common points between the counterfeits, but also Coin World and several of the publications for the specialized coin clubs. And, I don't really want to go, I don't know how deep you want to go into that, but I've also been awarded a couple awards and on counterfeit work. And so the biggest thing I think for me has been the research and then the camaraderie that I've developed with so many people developing, first of all, Dark Side and Counterfeits and Fakes as a Facebook group. It's kind of a melting pot for people to ask questions and to have information on counterfeits. And then my latest work of love is the Fun with Fakes group that I really, really enjoy. And there we have fewer dealers and more people that are really just interested in learning about it going forward. And so I give that an awful lot of time, along with Jack Riley and several others, to continue to get the word out on the current counterfeits.
Well, and if you're not a part of the Fun with Fakes group, and B. Woods, by the way, excellent question. You should always ask what the credentials of the people that you're listening to are. Great job. Nicely done. Jack's very modest in his explanation of what he's done. I mean, he stood in defense of our nation to ensure that, he has informed the legal experts, the investigators of what the counterfeit was. He's worked with the ACEF. You guys know who that is. So there's a whole lot more to the history of Jack. Jack is well known and very well respected in the hobby. But Jack and I have a kindred brotherhood in that he likes to have fun too. And if you ever go see the Fun with Fakes, some of his witticisms are amazing. So get over there, watch that. He really makes learning. Both him, Jack Riley, there's so many great people. I see Sue B in chat. What's going on, Sue? How are you? She's in that group, always commenting. There's a lot of people who are a lot of fun in that particular group. So if you haven't gone on there, get over there and go check it out.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
All right, let's go down.
Drinking beer and coins, those two.
Those that works hand in hand, absolutely. So this is now the resulting PCGS cert for that subject coin. Again, they nuked the cert and got that coin off the market, and I would guess it's probably in their black box. Again, I would think they'd use it for the graders because that would be a great education tool because I obviously fooled them at one point.
Absolutely.
All right, so now the next one. This one's fun. This is one of the real key dates, particularly the Barber quarter group, the 1901S Barber, and this one's really pretty amazing. And one of the things I've written a couple of articles. I did a dark corner article because the one coming up here actually was. I feel like I'm picking on a certain TPG, but this one was put in a holder as genuine as well and sold for quite a bit of money. You go down a little bit so we see the image. The question I asked myself and I'd ask people in chat, what's the first thing that kind of pops out at you when you see this image? Are there any takers, Frosty?
I haven't seen anything yet. We got a little bit of delay. We'll have to give a little bit of time. Vote for Pedro. Thank you for dropping the Coin Geek interview with Jack Young. That's a good one. You should go see that one too. The reverse color, Luther says.
Yeah, absolutely.
Toning, where, yeah.
I mean, the first thing when I saw it, I almost chuckled. It looked like two different coins. And
Well, one looks like a large cent.
one's got a copperish look to it. The
Yeah,
other one
yeah.
has got a silvery look, and then it's got a very strange oxidation point, between there next to God. It's like there's another one down just over the O, and it's just this is very strange. It just looks really weird. But yeah, like Luther said, the first thing that I saw was the two colors. It just popped out to me that this is not the same coin, but it is. So we'll go down a little bit further. And I made the note that, like in the 1872 S Liberty seated half dollar, I went to experts on this one. And I've got a friend that's in the Barber Coin Collector Society, and those guys are just brilliant about this stuff. And I said, help me understand what we're looking at here. And so there are two die pairings for 1901S. So there's an obverse and position of the date, and then reverse. And so they made a real nice image for me, and then they actually did an article on this one themselves. So it shows the two die pairings. And if we go down a little further now, and the other thing they talk about, there's three types of reverses, and it has to do with the position of the wings relative to the letters. And again, when you're an expert in this stuff, you get into the weeds, obviously, but there are three types of reverses, and they are very specific as to what date ranges they exist for the Morgan quarter, or I'm sorry, the Barber quarters. So the main takeaway from this is the reverse of this coin does not match a 1901S with the correct reverse type. It is off. It does not match it. I think they say here reverse 3, 1900 to 1916, that wingtip. What does it tell me here? let's go down just a little bit further. I think, yeah, it lays it out pretty good. So reverse 2 is 1892 to 1900. Reverse 3 is 1900 to 1916. All no 1901S are reverse 3. And unfortunately, this one is not. We'll go down a little bit further.
And this actually is the one that made the thumbnail, by the way.
Yes, this is the one that made the thumbnail. So the subject coins on the left, the genuine examples on the right. There are just some things that are just, they do not match. And it was pretty obvious at that point that that we had an issue here. But down a little bit further, we also look at the date, and like the Liberty Seated Collector guys did with the 1872 S half dollar, so these guys can go in and like Jack does with the bands, these guys go in and can tell you where that date came from, and that date actually came from a Philadelphia coin. So now you might say, well, how did they get this thing together? Well, it most likely actually is a put together coin. And I've only seen one. I've seen a Buffalo nickel, and it is just incredible. They actually cut two in half and very expertly put them together and did enough work on the edge that you really can't see the seam. The unfortunate thing about this coin is it's in a holder. There were no images to see. You know, you would have loved to have been able to see the edge and know what it actually looked like. But um, this was actually two different coins sandwiched together. It would seem like they'd want to use the right reverse, but again, I what they were working with, but this is what they ended up doing. And what was really interesting is you get down a little bit further, at the same time that this all had come together and we had contacted PCGS, they had an article in their rare coin market report, November, December one, where they actually had a put together coin came through their grading. But in this case, it had the correct type 3 reverse, but it was put together. You could see the seam on it, and it was a solid in half put together, not genuine 1901S quarter dollar.
Yeah, this is one of those pieces that when I was reading this, I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely one that needs to be on the front page. But this also goes to talking about looking at that third edge, making sure you understand the rim, understanding the edges, right? Making sure you're looking for those seams. There are things that stand out, but so is this the one that they have on their site, or where did this image come from?
This had been on their site, unfortunately. It's been through two major auctions. I've got that down at the bottom. So yes, this one this one fooled a lot of people. But again, unfortunately, once it's in a holder, it's very difficult to see the edge. So I said, now these are things that I didn't show in my Coin Week article. So the first one, you know, you go in and I've got the cert. And so there's a cert. And yes, it's a 1901S, 25 cent, um, straight graded VG08. And it says it's worth up to $10,000. And then we've got two auction uh, listings here. And it's kind of interesting. The Stax Bowers in 2011 sold for almost $9,500, but then it dropped in 2016 to almost $6,500, but still a lot of money for something that's not genuine. And then go down a little bit further. So this is the Heritage auction, and again, you can see the obverse is clearly the same coin. And this came up with this is where it all kind of started. They have a thing called make an offer to the owner, and you can actually go in and try to purchase one of these that's listed. And so we got involved in this one a little bit, and then it became kind of a cluster because everybody realized it was a counterfeit. And so I'm not really sure what happened. I know it ended up back at PCGS and never really had the opportunity to see what the edge looked like. And then
So
a little bit further,
what do they do in this situation? I'm gonna kind of deviate. And so you're a major company. You've sold this before. It's passed through an auction house. You've got this certified by a TPG. You have this coin. You identify it. What's the protocol? How do they go about dealing with this?
Well, the first thing is the TPG's authenticity is guaranteed. All four of the ones that we deal with, they have a guaranteed authenticity, which means that if you can prove that a coin in their holder is actually a counterfeit, is not what it says it is not how they certified it, they will buy it back for your invoice price. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I know behind the scenes, the TPG does talk to the auction houses as well and just tries to pull everybody together and at least school them on what was going on. The auction houses guarantee their stuff as well. But and these are both very good auction houses. There's no question of that. It's not like dealing with an eBay or this new live auction thing we've seen. But they're at the mercy of the TPG as well because all they can do is basically look at the coin as it's in the holder. They couldn't go in and look at the edge either. Now, if you spent time authenticating it, like my barber coin guy did, you would realize it's got the wrong reverse for the date. But I don't know. I think that a lot of pass through goes on because the third party grader said it's genuine and it is what it is. That answer your question? Going down, Frosty?
Oh, sorry. I had hit my button and I pulled my cable of my microphone out.
You're fine. I was afraid that I lost my internet connection because I do get that happening to me.
No, I was like, I appreciate you clarifying because what happens is a lot of people go, and we've heard this when we interviewed ACEF. Well, why aren't you guys doing more? You're right. It's really easy to go, well, why aren't you catching this? Well, how can this happen? And we're human, we're fallible. Mistakes are made. But I want to reiterate to everybody that these coins are really good counterfeits. It takes somebody who really understands the coin. They've looked at these, they've seen a number of these, they've done their research. And again, this is why, we've talked about this, oh my God, Jack, probably 100 times in the last year. Slabs are nice, but know the coin, right? It's great that they're in a TPG, but is that TPG even authentic, right? Is that slab even authentic? If it is authentic, you still have to know the coin. You've pulled coins for presentation on this show that were 25, 30,000, 10,000, 15,000, 5,000, 12,000. Some big money, high dollar coins. And what I want people to understand is that there's a process. And buying a slabbed coin, an authentic TPG slab coin, does come with certain protections. But you should know the coin. Do your research. There are so many people that have great information, great insight. They're listed on social media, but guess what? A lot of BS is on social media too. So we want to provide you, and this is one of the major premises of this channel. This is why I have Jack up so frequently, is we really want to get the information into your hands. Run one thing by you. Know the coin. Every time Jack comes through and talks about this, Jack Riley, Zach, whomever's on when we talk about Errors Varieties, whether it's copper coins, they're talking about the new find that they have, whatever, we show it to you. This is what it looks like. This is why this is the issue. So as you go through, when there are coins of interest, save it. Go to your YouTube and actually save the video. That way, when you're serious about buying the coin, you can go back and listen to it. And then in that chat, ask questions. I get notified when there's something in there, and we can help you answer some questions. I can get you in contact with these folks, and we can work through this. So there's a whole team of people that are working to protect this hobby. And there are so many people I'm just not connected to yet that are really good, solid people. But use this as a resource. And again, Jack, I've got to thank you. I know. So for those of you who don't know, Jack is sick. He's under the weather, but he's powering through this because he wants to provide the information and support you all. And so I want to thank you again. It's just really cool because I can't tell you how much I like looking at this. Every time you're on, I learn something new. So I just wanted to say thanks again, bud.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I always learn too. That's the cool thing. On Fun with Fakes, we all learn from each other. And that's really why I really enjoy that format.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. Let's go down to the next one. I think the next one is, so this is the Stacked Powers auction. This is the one where it really went for a bunch of bucks. And I just thought I'd show the reverse of it this time, but it's obviously the same coin. And unfortunately, again, and I saw Luther make a note there, Heritage and Stacks will absolutely stand behind the coin. But I'm pretty sure they go after the TPG first. So again, it's a matter of there are so many coins that pass through so many people's hands, and you often wondered how often do they really scrutinize and really try to attribute a coin. And I say in all my articles, attribution, attribution, attribution. Paul laughs at me about it, but if you can't attribute it, if it doesn't match the genuine coin, then you've got an issue, and you've got some more things you need to look at. When you're talking about a 10,000 or so dollar coin, you ought to know what you're buying.
Fact. Yeah, and I hear a lot of people say, well, then if they don't know, then they shouldn't be buying it. And I think that's bad news. As educators, it's our responsibility to provide as much information as we can. Ultimately, though, it's caveat emptor. It's the buyer that needs to beware. All we can do is give you the information. You're the one that has to make the decision to actually do something with it. You're the one that actually has to go read it. You're the one that has to actually go watch it. So all we can do is put the information out there. It's you that has to take action. And if you guys can remember that, then you're already on your way to being more secure. I'm going to take a quick deviation real quick, Jack, and we'll get back to this.
Can I just make one comment?
Fire, please.
Yeah, Mike made the comment about good dealers. Absolutely. Good dealers stand behind them as well. So you've got a number of folks that when you're involved in buying a new coin or buying a coin from that will stand behind it. But you also got to look for the ones that won't.
Fact. On Monday, I'm dropping a video. The video is going to be on OPSEC. Now, it's what I call the 10 pillars. I've pulled stuff from industry standards. We have looked at insurance, military, police, fire, the safe companies. And I'm going to drop a video. I'm almost finished with it, but it's going to be dropped Monday. I want every one of you to watch it, but I want you to share it with people in your family. And I don't care if it's artwork. I don't care if it's silver and gold or collectible numismatics. I don't care if it's jewelry. All of the stuff that I'm going to provide you, give you information into protection of your wealth. One of the things that I didn't include on there, which is probably the most important when you're talking about numismatics or gemstones or art, is the verification of authenticity. I assume at the beginning of this that you've already done that work, that you've already worked with people to validate and verify that you've done that. So when you hear this, you're going to go, well, Frosty, you didn't talk about the thing, making the assessment of whether it's authentic or not. That should all be done even before the purchase. So my discussion on Monday is from the time that you buy it till you get it home, what kind of things do you need to do? How should it be stored? What are those things that you should look at? So if you really haven't considered how to secure your coins, how to store your coins, how to get your coins home, what do you do if somebody's following you after a coin show? We just talked about 25,000 people passing through the coin show down here at the fun show in Orlando. And so there are things that you should be taking into consideration, not just the fact that coins can be counterfeit, but a whole lot of security issues. So I wanted to do a plug there because, again, these are tied at the hip. Not only do you have to be careful when spending your money, but once you've spent it, you have to make sure you store it correctly. So please go check that out, share that out. And I am working on, and I talked with you about this, I'm not going to drop the name, but I'm working on getting in contact with somebody who's really good on errors and varieties, and they're willing to come on the show. They're actually excited about coming on here. So we'll be talking about some of that. So some good stuff coming your way. So thank you for everything. I appreciate you. All right, back to you, Jack. Sorry, I needed to deviate just for a moment.
No, you're fine. Back to us. All right, let's go a little bit further down. And then there's the actual image. That's the actual image of the coin in the holder. It really was a genuine PCGS holder. And again, I don't know if that's now in their black box or if they cracked it out. I would have thought they probably would have cracked it out to look at the edge, but I don't know that. I don't have a contact that can tell me that. Let's go a little further. And the cert now is nuked. So that was their response to the certification. One thing I talk about on occasion, NGC will actually put a notice on their cert and say, possible counterfeit holder, contact customer service. They'll leave the cert up. PCGS just basically takes it out of the system. So there are times when you get this kind of notice, you wonder if maybe the website's not just down. So I really like the way that NGC does it. PCGS did it on one. They did one 1881 CC Morgan that cert number had so many fakes that they actually said we pulled this cert and this is why. But I've only seen that done once by those guys. All right, so now we're going to go down to another article, and again another dark corner article, which means that this is another coin that was in third-party graders holders as genuine. I wrote a couple articles on this one where I went through and just basically put together the attribution points for it, and the other where I said, okay, one is actually certified as genuine. This was some from the same group of counterfeiters that I've talked about in the past, and really what got me into the hobby and part of that answer to the question. In 2015, I got involved with a counterfeit large cent, and we found out where it was from. And as we started looking at connected sellers, we started finding more and more different dates and different types of coins. And this is one of those. This coin, there was one that was raw that was for sale by the connected sellers on eBay that I found. And then we found a number of these were actually in third-party grading holders as being genuine coins. We'll go down just a little bit further.
Jack, do you have a book or is it just your Coin Week articles?
Do I have a book?
Yeah, have you wrote a book yet?
No, and I've been asked to do that, and I even have somebody that was willing to fund the initial outlay. And I think once I'm not working full time, then that'll be the next effort. But no, basically, I go in a lot of times. I'll go in and pull up my own articles on Coin Week and say, "This looks familiar. I think I wrote about it," and then pull it up. Or in many cases, Jack Riley pulls it up for me ahead of me. So, but no, at some point it ought to be in a book. But and I'll be real honest. When I got involved in this in 2015, and we started documenting these, we were up to over 20 coins. And you talked about some of the people I've dealt with. I ended up in DC and I did a presentation to Secret Service, and I got the information to Texas Border Protection because we knew who the guys were and where they were and all that. And I kind of thought this was going to go away. And I thought, there'll be other counterfeits come along and I'll get involved in that. But, what am I going to do going forward? And these just keep showing up. And so we honestly don't know how many of these are out there, how many they struck. And we don't know how many of these are in people's holdings as genuine coins. And hopefully they'll go in and look at some of these articles when they get one and they'll say, I've got an issue here. So that was from the first article I did. And then that's when I had really started these one-page attribution guides. We'll go down a little bit further. And Charles Morgan did really cool introductions to the articles. But the one-page introduction guide, basically I show a genuine coin and I show that the first one there is actually one of the counterfeits. That one was not graded. The TPG caught that one as being a counterfeit coin. The one below on the left is actually the genuine source coin. So that coin had a hole in it. and they had a number of these coins were damaged coins that they were expert in repairing. And so they would repair that coin, but you can see from the top coin, there is a thing that I called the visor head. That was my nickname for this, but it's got that thing sticking out the top of the head that would not be in a genuine coin. And so that was the result of when they went in and repaired that hole and did a little re-engraving. You can see the hole on the bottom, but on the reverse side, they had to regrave some of those letters, and they now no longer match a genuine coin. But down a little bit further, and then I show those key attribution points. I show the visor, and obviously that protrusion shouldn't be there. They re-engrave the R; it doesn't look like a genuine. And then all of these will have a series of scratches and marks that were in the genuine coin. That these dies are so accurate. Their reproduction process was so good that it carries all of the marks and all the scratches and all the circulation things from the genuine coin into the clones. So that's always a way to look for them as well, the matching marks that we talk about. And then go down a little bit further. I never put this image in any of my articles. Um,
So one thing that I've done for you guys, just to interrupt, because people are like, "How do we find Jack's information?" I have created a Boolean search for you on CoinWeek, so it's listed there. So if you click on that, it'll automatically take you to Jack Young's stuff. You don't have to search for it. You just scroll through that listing, and it'll do it in reverse order. So it'll start with the newest and go down to the back. So just save that link, and you'll be able to access that stuff at any point.
I'm sorry, my mic was turned off. This is one that got through the graders. That's the actual genuine slab in the coin, and you can see the visor head. You can also see the cert number. Now, the TPG was notified, and obviously they were involved in the article. As you go down a little bit further, and this is what they end up doing. They go in and they say they pull the pictures. There's no image, and they say contact NGC customer service. So if someone were to get that coin, because that coin is still out in the wild somewhere, if someone were to get that coin and to go in and try to look up the cert, doing part of their due diligence, they would see there's an issue and that they should contact NGC and see what the issue is. And so the next one is in my top five
Mm.
of amazing ones.
Yeah, I was about to say I love this piece.
This was incredible, and that picture is really awesome. And
It's
that picture
phenomenal.
it's actually courtesy of NGC. NGC does some really good images, and after this thing all kind of blew up because there were two in PCGS holders, I ended up buying one and sent it raw to NGC so that they could go through and take some images. So that was the benefit of having a really good set of images of this coin. But this is a struck counterfeit, and I had seen one of these in eBay with the connected bad sellers. So I immediately suspected the coin was bad. I went in and tried to attribute it, and I couldn't. I couldn't get a reverse to match for 1872S. And then I got a hold of my friends at the Liberty Seated Collectors Club, John Frost, and said, "Hey, can you help me with this coin? I've got an issue here." And kind of went south from there. So let's go down a little bit further.
So just looking at this without moving forward, is this an altered coin?
No, this is a struck counterfeit. And this one is interesting in that the other ones that I'd seen from this group had the proper obverse and reverse. This one did not. And the other ones, I think 90% of them, we have found the source coin. And this one, we never did. And so when the Liberty Seated Collectors guys found one in a PCGS holder, they went in and attributed the obverse as a Philadelphia struck obverse. And they identified the reverse as an 1875 S, which is why it didn't match any known genuine 72S. And then those guys really get into splitting hairs. They count the reeds on the edge, and the reeds on the edge were for a different date. I think it was 1877. So I called this in one of my articles the Frankenstein coin. There was absolutely nothing right about this coin. And of course, one of my Coin Week articles, again from the dark corner. This one was in a holder, and I show an image of it, but I didn't say whose holder, but you could probably tell it's PCGS. And then go down a little bit further. So this is what the Liberty Seated Collectors Club group was putting together. Again, they had one in a PCGS holder. I found one that was raw on the internet, and then as I did some of my dumpster diving, that you like, Frosty, I found another one on an auction site, and then again, it was one of those where it was make offer to owner, and it was another one of the counterfeits in a PCGS holder. So this is what Liberty Seated Collectors guys did. They came in and they tell you it's an 1872 P Obverse 8 and the 1875 S Reverse K. So it's a struck counterfeit, but they use two different coins, two different dies sets for this coin. And we've seen, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them. I mean, I got to imagine there's more out there, but we haven't seen a large number.
It's a really good looking coin. Is there anything that um, obviously you'd have to know the reverse to catch this because it's very well done. Is there anything that is that kind of this just doesn't look right to me, or is it just because you know the reverse?
It's because it's the wrong reverse. That coin is so accurate. I mean, all the details are correct. So for that reverse K, that it's absolutely accurate. The one thing that the Liberty City guys told me was for that year and that date, this one is exceptionally well struck. And that was something that seemed odd to them that how well struck up this coin is and my coin is. And so that seemed to be unusual for some reason. And again, those guys look at those all the time. But as soon as they saw that S, they knew immediately it was wrong because that S is too small and it's too close up to be a 72S. So their first thought was maybe they had a brand new unknown die variety. And I showed them two more examples. And if you look at this, and I don't know how to describe it properly, but about halfway up on the obverse of the coin, going down the pole, there's a series right there, and go down a little bit further. There's a series of nicks that go across the coin. That's in every one of them. And so that was another aha moment. There are a number of things that are in all of the coins that would not be in that die pairing. They're in the counterfeit die pairing, the false dies.
Sorry, I just hit the button and it decided it wanted to go all the way back to the top.
No, it's good. You gave me a cough break there.
There you go, right
Yeah.
there.
So that's in mine. That's in theirs. That's in the third example I saw that was raw. So again, look at the marks. All right, yeah, go up just a bit more, and a little bit more. See if we missed anything, and a little bit more. You went down a ways. All right, let's keep going. So that was
There we
that was
go.
what they put together, and that was the cover sheet. A dangerous new counterfeit, the latest and greatest from China. And I would say, yeah, but it was actually from College Station, Texas. And I knew where it was. We'll go down a little bit further.
And how did you assess that?
Well, because I found the connected sellers. There were 7 eBay sellers that were connected to a company that called it Easton International LLC that was located in College Station, Texas. So all those guys, the 7 or 8 that were selling eBay, all were selling the same wares. They all were selling these counterfeits. And we found, again, I found where they were. I mean, I did a lot of internet diving and put all that information together. And that's the information that I took to DC with Beth to talk to Secret Service. And so I had a whole portfolio of drug counterfeits and all the separate eBay names and all the information I put together, because I'd even bought a couple coins from a couple of those guys to get their PayPal information and all the other information. And I just gave that whole stack of stuff to the Secret Service.
Very cool.
So this is the genuine. This is my example. So that's what my looked like, and it's no longer in that holder. I found it in a major auction site. Again, it was make an offer to owner. If you go down a little bit farther, it was actually in this gentleman's registry set. So, I mean, he was showing it off, and I notified him. I made an offer, and I don't know if I've ever told this story or not, but it kind of blew up because I'd been talking to John Frost at Liberty City Collectors, and we were combining information. Um, this became a big issue because suddenly both PCGS and the auction house realized that I was buying a counterfeit coin in a PCGS slab through that auction house. So it took some discussion. That was my first introduction to some of those characters, and we made an agreement that I did purchase the coin, but I had agreed that they would crack it out of the slab, and they made a copy of the label for me, and so I got the coin and a copy of the label, and purchased the coin, and I have it in my collection now.
In an ICGS slab.
Well, now as you go down a little bit further, you'll see what you'll see what it looks like now. So that was the original cert, and again, it shows AU 53 straight graded. It shows when it was first sold in 2016 in that heritage auction, and then go down a little bit further. So we wrote articles. Liberty City Collectors Club actually went to one of the major shows and sat down with all the four TPGs and explained what the issues were. And PCGS then went through and actually nuked that cert. So that would be down a little bit further. And again, the way they do it, they just basically took it out of the database. So if that coin still existed with that cert number, and obviously there's images that still exist, that'll come up as it doesn't exist. And a little bit further, not everybody got the memo. So now it's in a annex holder as genuine. This time as an AU 58 details.
It's a nicely done counterfeit.
It is an exceptionally well done counterfeit
Yeah.
until you go in and attribute it. And again, I say a lot of times the counterfeiters are not numismatists. They make a lot of mistakes, which helps us. I mean, if they ever hire the right guy, we may be in trouble.
Well, and what we don't know is what we don't know, right? We don't know how many of these are out there that are running around as authentic.
No, we do not. Absolutely. And I talk about the 1806 half cent. I mean, that one's become prolific. They just keep showing up. So we constantly look. I constantly look, but I've not seen another one of the 72 S's now. Ever since we saw these first ones, I've not seen another one. Go down a little bit further.
Sorry, I was putting something in the chat. Apologize.
No, you're fine. So this is my one-page attribution. I actually show my counterfeit, and I show what genuine examples should look like. And then I go down to the bottom and I show some of the attribution points associated with it. One obviously being the mint mark itself.
And again, this is not a cheap coin. We're looking at it selling for between $300 and $550.
Exactly. Exactly.
So diligence is the word of the day.
All right, go down a little bit further. And so there's the attribution points. You see the dings that you were looking at. I circled those. There's another ding in the O. There's a die gouge. That die gouge there is actually from a 75S, so that die gouge is accurate. It should be there, but the ding and the O and the other ding should not be. And then it shows the counterfeit and the three reverses um, of 72S, and then go down a little bit further. Well, actually, you're right there. I show the genuine 75S on the right, and then there's quite a bit of difference between the genuine 72S's and the counterfeit. So moving
Yeah, the
on,
position and the rotation's a little bit off.
yeah. So the last one I did, I kind of threw this one in because you were talking about gold and all that stuff in your San Francisco tour
Woohoo!
yesterday. I threw in my 1909 S gold $5.
And in the
And
famous world of Goldfinger, I love gold.
gold. I own I own 3 gold pieces in my collection, and all 3 of them were counterfeit. And we'll go down a
Well,
little bit.
yeah, but let's talk about which ones you have, you rotten bastard. I mean, Jack.
Yeah, you like my $3. I know you like the $3.
Well, that and your Omega.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So
Let's go down. This was actually from my display. This was fun. That was the display at Indy, and I had my gold coins there. And this one actually was attributed by the ANA back in the '60s, and they called that S the Wormy S. And that information is really cool. I've downloaded, and I think Jack Riley's downloaded those too. The ANA actually put together summaries of their counterfeit articles in 2 groupings that were all in the Numismatist. And you can download those, and they just have a wealth of information. And it's really cool to see some of the ones that go back to the '60s and '70s, like this one. Go down a little bit different, a little bit lower. And so they talk about a whole bunch of different dates. So the one that they showed in their article is a 14. And they say that just about every date, it's seen just about every date struck with this Wormy S reverse. And that was what they called the most easily noticed characteristic, is that S mint mark. Go down a little bit further.
and you talk about this a lot, but this is actually one of the top 15, I believe, in the 50 most commonly counterfeit coins on NGC.
And this is one of the Lebanese counterfeits. So then it gets into a whole nother discussion about when these were made and why these were made and all that good stuff. And yeah, they say that they've seen the obverse every day from 1908 to 1916. So they show, like I said, they highlighted the 1914. I've got a 1909. I just superimposed my S over there on the right. I mean, they are absolutely the same. And then going down a little bit further, so they talked about the Lebanon Beirut coins, and that they were very high quality counterfeit gold coins. And they basically put them out into the marketplace. Um, they weren't looked at as collector's coins. They made them with a really higher level of gold in them than what the standard was, just to try to get under the radar and not have anybody scrutinize them as possible counterfeits. So they talked about those during the 1960s and '70s. Primary market was local merchants in the Middle East. I don't know how many of those ended up in the US. As I said, it was a correct gold alloy, but mine actually scanned at 98%, and my um, $10 gold piece also scanned at 98%. Then I took it to my friends down in Tampa, ICG. I really like doing this and having these for display and can handle them and not worry about hurting them. And this is a valuable coin because where gold is right now. This is one of the most valuable coins I own. But it is a die struck counterfeit.
So I know that we've talked about this before in the past, and oftentimes silver and gold coins that are counterfeit don't necessarily match. Sometimes you can get fortunate and get one. I believe your princess coin is one of those that actually has a higher content of gold than the actual coin itself.
Yeah, all three of mine do. Yes.
So here's something that we've had people ask this. We've mentioned it in the chat before, but there's a couple people that are asking really great questions. So if you have a coin like a pre-33 gold like this, it's actual gold, the content is more. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it?
I just put it in a holder and keep it in my safe.
Well, what I mean by that is it's a counterfeit. So you can't sell it as a coin because you're knowingly passing on something that you're aware is a counterfeit.
No,
But you
absolutely
also
not.
got the gold value. So if you needed to sell it for the gold, how would you do that? How would you manage that? Would you?
If I had to do it, if I was going to sell it for bullion, first of all, you see what kind of holder I got it in. So there's where I would start. I would take it to a dealer that I knew that would buy this thing for melt, and I would sell it to him for melt. But it would be a dealer that I knew, and I knew what he was going to do, such as Matt or Mike or those types of guys.
And the reason I ask is because every time you show a coin like this, I always get questions later that says, "Well, how would he do something? How would he get that? What would happen?" Oh yeah, he could sell it to me too, Mike. But the point is what would you do in a situation like this? Because a lot of people, and I've asked people in chat have said, I've had a counterfeit. It's like, well, do you still have it? It's like, no, I took it out of circulation. Um, let us know, right? So the reason, and again, it's not necessarily that we'll buy every counterfeit or that Jack is interested in every counterfeit, but getting good quality images of it is important because looking at those will help us understand, is it a new version of an old family? Now, this is important because last week you talked about something that you thought was done. And here in the last year or so, you've seen a resurgence of a subset of counterfeits that were thought to be have dealt with. So
Correct.
what do we, I mean, again, you look at coins, even after you've told the TPGs, you still have that 1906 half cent show up in one of the new holders. It's important to realize that these things could be in your stack. So go through, look at them. But again, if you find one, I'm not saying you have to send it to IGC and getting it in a thing like this. But if you're going to do it for educational purposes or stuff like that, this is a good way to do it. The problem with leaving them loose for the average collector is what happens when you pass on. We're temporary stewards of these. So don't store them with your other coins. Definitely don't try to sell them. Go look at what the applicable laws are. ACEF will provide a service at local coin shows that they're at to stamp copy in them for you. They take those things to the shows. We'll automatically do that for you. But get good quality images and send them to Jack Riley, Jack Young, myself, or send them to me and say, Frosty, get these to these guys. And I'll be more than happy to do that. The more information that we can gather on these, the better people like Jack Young, Jack Riley, Winston, Mike, Matt, all these people who manage this, and there's a whole slew of other people, by the way. It helps us to identify what's there, what's in the market. And that really is important. So David Chung says, sell it as jewelry.
I absolutely agree with you. And, at some point, I'm going to have to make a decision what I'm going to do with my collection. And, we've talked about them being in this not genuine holder, and that's really cool, but you can break it out. And, there isn't anything else with that coin at that point that would identify it as being counterfeit other than, I know it's a counterfeit. And it's worse with the ones that I have that are in genuine third-party grader holders as genuine coins. And just like the 1806 half cents you said, you know, I bought 2 new ones here this past summer, one in a boutique TPG holder, you know, and that should never have happened, and the other in another top TPG holder as genuine coins, and they're not. So at some point, you know, I'm gonna have to decide, and some people have asked, you know, why don't you, you know, donate them to the ANA or the ANS or those folks that, you know, do education and have displays at their shows for counterfeits. And that certainly is a thought. But I will never sell any of them as a genuine coin. The concern always is about your heirs and what happens. Not that I don't trust them, but my daughters would have no clue. And if the coin says it's genuine with PCGS, then to them it's genuine. So it's
And
something I'm going to have to come to grips with at some point.
yeah, and these are things that you should be considering all the time. Tiger and I just did one on spreadsheets, documenting your spreadsheet. I can't tell you how important that is, because if you store these separately and you have them listed, right, you explain exactly what the holder looks like and you explain what the coins are, and you can let them know that they're counterfeit. The reason I do my spreadsheet the way that I do it is if I was to ever be in a situation where I couldn't speak or I couldn't get my information to my wife, she could go to that list, take that, give that to somebody like Mike or Matt or Eric or Chuck or somebody like that. They would know exactly what I had and would be able to consult her very clearly. If you have something like this and you have coins that you've deemed as counterfeit, you don't have to shred them or melt them or do whatever with them. Obviously, you have to set them aside, but document them carefully. I'm not saying you should go around keeping a bunch of counterfeits. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not promoting collecting counterfeits. What I am saying is if you're going to do it, you need to take precautions. Okay, that's something that needs to be, because we're only temporary stewards of our collections. Ultimately, if you're not careful with these will end up back in the hobby, and we have to be careful of that.
Well said. And of course, there is in my icon. I love it.
Every time I see that, it makes me laugh.
It
And
makes
then
me
the words "Hell's coming with me" and it rings in the back. Jack, as always, thank you so much. I'm going to share real quick another article, and this is the article from Jack Riley. So give me just a moment. Let me change this. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. All right. Now, we've seen this one before. I've got some images. I'll pull the images up. But this one isn't a counterfeit coin. This is an altered coin. This has an added S. And the one thing that I want to look at is this. I love this article, and you guys can go to Proxy Blog. Here's the information. It's in chat. You can go look at this at any time. Reach out to Jack Riley on this particular piece. But he's got an image of the most forgotten aspect of a coin, and that's the third side, the rim. Don't forget to understand what your edges and your rims should look like. Proof should be square, right? You should have ridges or no ridges. It could be lettered or non-lettered. There's different things that you can look for. And you talk about the pairings of two different coins that have been brought together. You'll see seams. Looking at this end is really important because, again, it's something that people don't look at. This is why a lot of people put stuff in fake slabs, is they don't have this completed and you can't see it when it's in a slab. So do your research. And again, if you have the capability and you're taking pictures and you're going to send it to somebody, don't forget to take pictures of the edge. I know sometimes it can be hard to do, but this is really a good diagnostic piece because, again, you can see here the damage that happened from when they were vicing this coin. Or how did they do this? They drilled into it, raised it on the inside, and then filled it back in or something like that, right?
That is correct. Yes, they
Yeah.
drilled a hole and moved metal.
Yep. So again, you can learn a lot by looking at these items. You have the link in chat, so go through and go ahead.
You show the other images of it. I think there's one in the holder. He's got it like in the holder.
Yeah. So let me pull the holder of this one is just his holder. So let me.
Yeah, no, I understand, but it's kind of cool to see it like that.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Mm-hmm. And here's the coin. So we'll zoom in a little bit. Now, this is not a TPG holder. This is just one of the plastic ones that you can put in. This is just so that he can handle the coin, flip it over, see it on both sides. It's not meant to be represented as a TPG, just so you guys are tracking why it's in this particular holder. But again, you can see it right here. You can see that little area, that little bit of damage, and then you have the S.
In the obverse one, he's got, I think in the obverse, he actually labels it. Yeah, that's cool. That's a great picture. But you see the discoloration? I mean, you can actually, it stands out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I love, this is a very well done image. A very well done image. I love this image.
That was really cool. Absolutely.
I don't know who took it for Jack, but nicely done.
Yeah, this is one of the coins I'm going to have to barter for.
Yeah, it's a good piece. It's a very well done image from a person who likes photography. It's just very well done. Yeah, and Luther's right. Yeah, heat has caused discoloration. Yeah, it's amazing what heat does.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jack, I was just giving you a hard time, brother. I was like, this is too nice for Jack to take this one. Somebody must have done it for him. Just kidding, bud. I have to mess with you a little bit. You know, I'd be picking on you if you were here. I only pick on people I like. This is why I don't pick on Mike. He's like, hey, I resemble that remark.
I was muted. I was hysterical right there, but I started coughing.
Yeah, no, it really is a great image.
Yeah, that's a good coin. That's a cool coin.
Very cool. Well, that's really kind of all I had. Now, there's one image that was sent in. I'm trying to pull it up. Unfortunately, it's not wanting to pull across. So let me see if I can send it from my phone. Azure was doing a coin show, and he got a gold panda. He just picked it up from the seller. This was at I believe it was the fun show. And when he got it home, he has a Sigma, tested it, and it actually ended up coming out fake. And he was able to go, again, reputable dealer, got a hold of the dealer, said, hey, there was a problem with this. It does show up on the Sigma fake, took photos, sent it to off, and said, you know, hey, this is a problem. And they coordinated, worked through it, was able to get the money back for this. But when we talk about trusted dealers, dealers can make mistakes, but it's finding people who are knowledgeable, that are willing to talk with you, that are looking at the coin with you. It's like, you know, hey, can we test this? They're more than happy to do that with you. And ACEF, I've seen some people drop this information in here before. The ACEF has a trusted sources. One of the dealers that you talked about, if I'm not mistaken, was it the 06 or was it the Gobrek? They were a trusted dealer. They actually made good on it, even though it ended up being a counterfeit.
Yeah,
was it that coin or a different
dollar.
one?
Yeah,
the trade dollar. That's right. That's right. And so the important thing about finding somebody that is listed as a trusted dealer or trusted source doesn't mean they can't make mistakes. Again, a lot of these counterfeits are very, very well done. Jack has looked and done tons of research on this. These guys know these coins very, very well. They have their little niche in their specialties, and you can't expect everybody else to know all those things, right? This is why we have people like that in our lives and in our network. But they slip through. But having a good dealer, having a person who has your back, is willing to stand by their word, allows you to really get back into joining the hobby. I see coaches in here. Coaches asked us in the past, hey, question for you. Why should I even collect coins if there's so many counterfeits out there? That was a great question. I loved the question, still do. And it's because it doesn't matter what hobby you get into, there's counterfeits, but you should know what you're collecting. If you're interested in it, do a little research on it. Find your specialty, find your niche, and learn everything you can about it. And you're really going to enjoy the hobby. So it's a lot of fun. So don't worry about making the mistakes. Mistakes happen. And I want you guys to know Jack sucks. Okay. Jack is rubbing salt into an already festered wound.
No, that's not what I just sent you. But I did send you a couple images. It's on topic, but maybe a little off topic. You would
no, it's on topic. And again, you're where did it go?
Oh, you're right. You might say that about me with this one. I forgot.
Yeah, it's not kind of Will. It's abso-freaking-lutely Will.
Isn't that cool?
That's beauty. And if you guys don't know what this, we'll leave a minute. Don't say anything in chat. Do you guys know what this is? I mean, I can look at it by seeing the front of, obviously, seeing the first image. I just know what he's showing me.
Well, you gotta show the reverse.
Not yet. Let's give some people some questions.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so Azure and I talk a lot about stuff. He's a collector. He does all sorts of he collects all sorts of different things. But he's bought and sold an incredible amount of art. The entire art world is filled with fakes. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Eric Byer's number one favorite trivia is the most counterfeit item in the world is a pair of chanclas, flip-flops, sandals. The amount of money on those is almost double the next item. It's insane what people counterfeit. There's a lot of money in some of these, and of course, there is the piece with the famous little nick here. Now, no, there are a couple things that are missing in this coin. You don't see the die crack, but again, you have that signature piece. There are some other pieces on here. If you want to know more about that, the Joe Cronin book on the Henning nickel is really, really good. So go check that one out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's done a great job on that one.
So the one that we normally see is the 1944. And I have a couple of those. And then 1946, you see those. This one's relatively rare. So I always watch Joe and see what he's getting because he can zone in on them. And had the opportunity to purchase this one from Joe.
Yeah, that's beauty. So I just timed out Pedro for just a few seconds, by the way. Yeah, so when I saw this, I was like, Jax, oh, man, you're just rubbing salt in the wound. No, this is a beautiful piece. And again, there are collectible pieces, and then there are collectible counterfeits. And then there are collectible counterfeits of counterfeits. So people make fake Hennings all the time. So you've got to be careful when you're buying a Henning to make sure you know exactly what it is that you're looking for.
That's an interesting comment because both I and my friend Skip at ICG have been looking for a counterfeit Henning, and we have not found one yet.
I think Joe Cronin said he's Has he not come across one?
No, I talked to Joe also. We're all on the lookout for it.
Oh, I thought I had heard that there was a couple of them out there already.
There may well be. There may well be, but
Oh,
I
it's I don't know. Jack Riley, I'm waiting on one. Actually, three, really. Oh, you suck. I mean, congratulations. Yeah, there's two counterfeits. Actually, there's three coins that I want to get authenticated because of their stories. You guys know I did an entire video on Henning. Go look at that. It's one of the first videos I did that actually went. I think it's got like 12,000 views or something like that. One of the very first videos I really kind of put effort into, did really well. It's still steadily growing. But it's out of date because the stuff that Joe Cronin put out in his book, there's a way more information to it. The other one is the Omega Man, and I love the Omega Man gold piece. You and I have talked about that again. You know, we won't go into why. And then the last one is the Henning nickel. Those are just three pieces that are absolute, or excuse me, the last one is the No Sense V nickel, the Racketeer nickel. That's the other one that I would like to get an authentic one because they're just, the stories behind them are amazing. And I like coins, but I love the stories behind the coins. That's what really drives me. I love the history of numismatics. And so there's such a good story in this Henning piece that it's absolutely fabulous. Cole Netley, I guess is what it is. I love the podcast on this topic. I was so excited for this show too. I feel I almost got scammed with the VDB and immediately changed my purchase decision because of the videos from you, Frosty. Winner, chicken dinner. I couldn't get a better comment. Could you, Jack?
No, that's absolutely perfect. That's absolutely why we do this stuff.
Fabulous. Dude, I got to tell you, I have enjoyed this morning, but that just made my day. Right? This is why we do this. And I greatly appreciate that. So, folks, please, the information helps. Share the information out. Let's grow this channel. This channel is as much yours as it is mine. If you guys want information, you guys want, Jack loves coming on here. And so he's welcome anytime. I actually have a list of about 15 people that have permanent keys to get into this stream anytime they want to. And so if there is a topic that you want to see or there's something that you want to know more about, just message me. And I will do some research and I will find people to talk about it. Oh, Keevan's going to get timed out too. Man, what is it with you guys and getting timed out? Terrible, terrible, terrible. They're picking up on this whole synergy thing. Pretty soon I'm going to have to put this comment. I'm going to have to put this down as a swear word. Sorry, you have applied a word that does not count. Well, Jack, as always, brother, I appreciate you. I know you've been under the weather. I appreciate you coming up and providing this excellent presentation. And just thank you so much for all you do for the community and all you do for the channel, man. You are you're a great supporter, but the amount of information that's in your head, the general knowledge you have, the specificity of the knowledge is outstanding. And I appreciate you. I know, folks, do me a favor, say thank you, Jack. Please flood that right now. That's the thing I want you guys to be doing. Next week, we're going to be wrapping up this Mint series. We're going to be breaking down Philadelphia. Now, I'm going to do the same format. Saturday morning, I'm going to write a story. I'm not sure what angle I'm going to take yet. It was easy with Carson City in the West, and it was easy with Denver Mint and it being John Denver and San Francisco and the 49ers. I'm not sure what we're going to do as far as Philly yet. but we'll save the same format. You guys have told me over and over again, you like this weekend structure. We're going to continue to maintain it. It doesn't matter if we're talking errors and varieties. We'll start with a story, start with some fun facts, and then we'll get into the topic. So if you have specific things you want to see, please let us know. If there's people that you want to see on and you know them, but you want to see them on, talk to them, work with it, get with me. We will coordinate it. I want to get with Mike because it's time to get Aaron Burke back on. We get some more ancients. I'm going to try and see. I know it's very difficult to get Mike and Matt both on because Matt works all the time, but maybe have Coin Show podcast on one time and talk about what they do and their interviews that they've done. Amazing channel. Go subscribe to the Coin Show podcast. And then, of course, my friends at Livecoin Q&A and Copper Coins, go check out those channels, send them our love, and go sub them up because, again, these folks have done a lot to really support. Any closing remarks, my friend?
Well, I really appreciate it. And I am interested if anybody in chat or anybody through the course of the week has anything that they would like to see or like to discuss, next Sunday, that would be great. Again, we're talking about Philadelphia, but, all the early large cents and all the early half cents and all those were made at Philadelphia. And so if there's anything you want to talk about, just let us know.
Okay, so I have a question. I do have a question. Okay. Do we have anybody in chat from Philadelphia? Because if you do, I want to talk to you. Like, talk to you. Because I just got an idea thanks to Vote for Pedro. Ready? Geno's versus Pat's. If you live in Philly, I want to get some video of Geno's and I want to get some video of Pat's. I want you to send it to me. And that'll be the bend that we take next week. We'll start that off with something fun. If you guys do, let me know. But I appreciate you. Mike says he has a closing recommendation. Fire it off. And we have a delay, so I know that I have to wait for a few seconds for the chat to show up. Thanks, Farm Dog. Appreciate you, brother. Just waiting for Mike's recommendation. If you subscribe to the Numismatist, Russ Bega wrote an article August 2025. Oh, outstanding. Okay. I will go find that and put that in the description. We need to have you and Russ back up too. I think that'll be fun. I know you guys are reeling from a bunch of work, but it'd be fun to have you guys back on too.
That article is awesome.
The fake 1934, yeah. Definitely. I think that would be a great discussion. If Mike, you deal with Russ all the time, if you can coordinate some stuff, we can talk about it and we'll get that on there. I would absolutely love that. So again, it's these kind of discussions and this kind of recommendation. If you guys see stuff that you like and you know people that are smart about it, let me know. And I am really, really interested in doing more. They're installing a studio at Harlan J. Burke. Outstanding. That is a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. And he's good with social media too. So you guys are going to crush that. All right, folks. Well, I am out of here. Don't forget to subscribe, share it out, and then we'll see you next week. Don't forget to go check out that video tomorrow on OPSEC and the security of your wealth. Take care, folks. Be well, be blessed, and I will see you in the streams.